Hey guys, what's up? My name is Anthony and welcome to another edition of BnA Sports Talk. So today I'm going to talk about the Detroit Lions, how they did in 2018, how their offseason is so far, and how I think they're going to do into the 2019 season, and whether or not they could be a surprise team next year, and I think they could. So let's look at it. What are the three things that highlighted them last season? I think there's three. So there's one, some injuries down the stretch that kind of hurt them. Two, an offensive coordinator that was horrible and Matt Stafford was awful under him. And three, some defensive interior and some rookies that really showed last year. So how did they do? They went 6-10, 5-10 into the last game, and then the Green Bay Packers pretty much gave up that last game to get, I guess, a better draft pick or something like that. And they finished last in the division, and currently they have an 8th overall draft pick. Now, the offensive coordinator got fired. He got fired. And they brought in the Seattle's offensive coordinator from a few years ago who actually won a Super Bowl with them. I think this is a great hiring. Matt Stafford didn't play well last year, and I think that's because a couple things. One, they got rid of Golden Tate. Two, the offensive line wasn't great. And three, the offensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator, I don't think him and Matt Stafford clicked at all. Hopefully the new offensive coordinator and Matt Stafford could click. And Matt Patricia is heading into his second year. Let's look at the running backs. So you have a plethora of running backs. Now, LeGarrette Blount, he's a restricted free agent, so you got rid of him. But you brought in C.J. Anderson. I love this. Bring in some veteran leadership because you have a young running back core. You have a second-year and a third-year running back in Kenny Golladay and Kerryon Johnson, who were pretty serviceable at back last year. I think that they're both of them, or either of them, are going to break out this year and have pretty good seasons. Kerryon Johnson had some injuries down the stretch, and he finished his season with almost 5.5 yards per carry and a couple touchdowns. Now, what this team is missing is playmakers. They have a lot of youth talent, but they need a couple of playmakers, and they need a reliable target for Matt Stafford to throw to. Honestly, I think trading down in the draft would be a great idea for the Detroit Lions, especially if you can trade down with the Packers. Let's say the Packers are like, Ed Oliver is still available at 8. Let's give you our first, I think 11th overall, 12th overall pick, and we'll give you either a second round or even our second first round pick this year, and to trade down. I don't think that's fair value, but if you get that offer by Green Bay and they love Ed Oliver and they need him, I'd take it 100%. And then you could draft a tight end for Matt Stafford, a reliable target for Matt Stafford to throw to, because if you look at their current tight end depth chart, there's nothing great. They did sign a player to 4 years and $23 million, but I looked at his stats, and it's nothing that jumps out at you. Yet Jesse James is not the greatest tight end. That was the name I was looking for. So now, they also brought in Denny Amendola this offseason. I don't think he's going to fit. I know Matt Patricia, he was with New England, and I guess Matt Patricia's familiar with Denny Amendola or something. I don't know. I don't think he's that much of an offensive mind. He's more of a defensive mind, so I'm not sure whether that's going to work. They did bring in Trey Flowers, though, from the Patriots. And Trey Flowers, I think, is going to be a great addition to this team. You lost Ezekiel Ansah, but, Trey Flowers should come in handy for this defense. Now you actually have a pass rush. And you did get rid of Zeke Ansah, but now you have Damon Harrison and a couple of stud, defensive backs like Hand that actually highlighted this run defense. And they had one of the best run defenses headed down the stretch, like I mentioned before. This team, all they need to do is cause some turnovers and give some extra possessions to the offense, and I think they're in business, especially with that new offensive coordinator. Now, the offensive line is a major problem for the Lions. I won't be surprised if they address this with the 8th pick in the first round. They have they had a rookie last year that they drafted, I think in the first round, Frank Ragnow, or maybe the second, that hasn't really played that well. I think their offensive line, that's a major need for them this offseason. Looking at their draft, they have 9 picks, but really 2 of them you can get marquee players. I would say with their 2 picks, if they trade down, they can get more. I'm not sure whether they're going to trade down. I think they should, especially if the Green Bay is offering you the trade I mentioned before. So I think the 3 needs in this draft are 1, an offensive lineman to solidify the offensive line. They made some moves in the offseason, like I mentioned before. I kind of like it, but there's nobody that jumps out at you. I would stay with Frank Ragnow because you gave up too much for him. 2, a defensive playmaker, wherever it is. I think they need somebody at the linebacker position. They added Andrew Adams in the safety. You have Darius Slay, a Pro Bowl cornerback. I'd say I'd lean towards offense, an outside linebacker, because you do play a 4-3. You have Damon Harrison at the nose tackle. You have Trey Flowers at defensive end. So you need you need definitely a playmaking linebacker. So Devin White, I'd take a look at. I wouldn't trade up for him. Devin Bush, I'd take a look at if he's still there. And then I would say maybe even a tight end for them to look for Matt Stafford to throw to, because like I mentioned, Jesse James is not going to work. They have a bunch of tight ends, but I don't think any of them are reliable targets for Matt Stafford to throw to. They brought Danny Amendola in, but again, I'm not sure how he and Matt Stafford will click day one. But I definitely believe that Matt Stafford is going to have a rebound season off a terrible season last year, and needs to verify or validify his big contract that he signed. So I could definitely see the Lions sneaking into a wild card spot. Like I mentioned before, their schedule is not that bad. They play the AFC West and they play the NFC North. I mean the NFC East. They obviously play the NFC North, but it's way easier than last year, and I think they can sneak it to a wild card spot. I could see them winning 10 games this year, up to 10 games, especially if they get on a roll late towards the end of the season. And yeah, but I can also see them struggling. A bunch of injuries highlighted last season. So the main storylines of the season: can they have a successful draft? And if so, can they finally get over the hump? Can they finally win a playoff game? Matt Stafford has not won a playoff game with the Lions. The Lions have only won one playoff game in the past 62 years. And Matt Patricia is a Bill Belichick disciple. Historically, Bill Belichick disciples have not been great, unless you count the guy over in Houston, who honestly has only won won one playoff game, and that was, I think, against the Oakland Raiders, who had Connor Cook as their quarterback. Actually, Connor Cook is on the Lions roster right now, but that has nothing to do with anything. So, can they be successful? I think that if things go right for them, and if they can have a perfect storm and they can win some tight games, and Matt Stafford can have some fourth quarter drives, I think that this team can be really successful going into the 2019 season. What odds would I give them making the playoffs? Right now, I would say it's hovering around 25 to 33%. Would I put money on them winning the division? If I like the odds, if I look at the odds and it's 2,000 or less, I would like it. If it's plus 2,000 or less, I would put some money on the Lions, and I think you can make some money. This is my sleeper pick of the year. From all the teams I've been looking at so far, this is the team where I look at and go, nobody's talking anything about the Lions. The reason why they were held back was because of their offensive coordinator, Jim Buck Cooter. I think with a new offensive coach, Matt Stafford's going to learn a new offense, and this team is going to be successful for years to come. May not be this year, but Matt Stafford's 31 now, and time's ticking. He knows that he has to live up to his big contract, and now they're finally surrounding with pieces for him to be successful. I'd say they're a tight end, a decent offensive line, and a couple of defensive player makers away. And that can be solved this year, and I think they're on the right track. Now, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.